Ayen is a communication consultant. She's a freelance journalist and also a member of the South Sudan Female Journalists Network. And then we have Emmanuel Lobijo. Emmanuel Lobijo is the executive director at Junub Open Space, and he has worked on similar projects that aims at combating this and misinformation in South Sudan. And then I will be moderating this session by throwing a few questions to them here and every now and then. And then after that, we'll also collect some questions from you as members of the audience. So we want to see that we use the chat box as actively as we can. And then when it comes to the time where we want to pick questions, you can also raise what we should expect.
I need the password. Can you put it for me here? I realize I'm not even using the internet yet.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are sorry, Bida's network had issues and he disconnected, but he's coming back very soon. So what was trying to say is that as a culture here in these sessions, we are going to be locking our meetings immediately. We enter 30 minutes into the session. So in case you get problems with network or any other problem, you can follow us through the YouTube recordings, which will be the same as live. And then there will also be the attendance attached there. So it doesn't mean that if you're kicked out, you don't be able to sign the attendance. When you're following through the YouTube, you still have access to the attendance form. Then if it is shared, once it is shared, it's always shared towards the end of the session. So make sure you fill in your details so that all your details are covered. Yeah. Did I you back? Okay, so he also said as we continue, it will be interactive, but mostly it will be our panelists who will have most of the time to discuss and answer questions, prepared questions from the moderator. But then towards the end, the audience, you people will be given time and chance to ask your questions or to make your contributions, depending on how you had the discussions or how much you know about the topic or what you've gone through as an experience. So during the time, if you find something that is pressing that you cannot wait to at the end, you can still put it in the inbox or in the chat box, as it will be read and noted down by the moderators, and then it will be given priority before every other person, or as other people ask their questions. Mm. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
we give him a few more minutes, maybe 2 or 3. See whether he's back, whether he'll get back soon. Okay. Ian, you want to say something? You can pick up from there.
Yes, I was just saying thank you very much for inviting me to this important panel discussion. I hope I'm clear.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
clear.
you're clear.
Okay,
Continue.
yeah. So I'm just doing my sound check.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like me to start.
Yeah. Not really. You can maybe greet the people and tell a few things about yourself. But then let's wait for Bida to come, and then because there's guiding questions that you guys will be following.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, just that our network in South Sudan is not reliable. Sometimes data bundles are better, and then sometimes Wi-Fi may be better, so it's hard to predict which one is which. Someone is asking, is the survey different from what we just did? I don't understand exactly what you mean by what we have just did, but yeah, it's just a survey to understand the landscape of misinformation and disinformation in South Sudan. You just fill in what you know about it. Yeah, I hope I'm clear, right? Then, is it not then? It says Daniel again. Hope I'm clear. I hope by now almost everyone has filled in the survey. However, those ones who have not yet, you're still free to continue filling it as the session will be going on. But it doesn't take a lot of time. A few minutes will be planned, so don't get worried. The attendance link cannot be shared at this time. That will be done towards the end, not now. So what we have now is a survey link that you fill in a few questions. So when the session is almost getting done, that's when we shall share the attendance list, maybe 30 minutes or so towards the end. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I got myself wrong today in terms of what best to use from my internet connection, but I hope this works. But also, we'll continue exploring the best ways to ensure that we have a consistent connectivity for this particular session. Once again, I would like to welcome each and every of you on board. We are having this webinar on some of the strategies that we can use to push back this information. And we have shared a survey link in the chat box. We request that you complete that survey. You complete that survey kindly. Complete that survey so that we can also get your insights and what you think about the issues of disinformation and misinformation. And then I am happy to have my panelists on board. I see Ayen and then I see Lobiyo. So we can now turn on our videos and get started. Let me pin this guy. Let me spotlight him. Um, Lobiyo, you can turn on your video. Yep. And then I can turn on my video also. Uh, Emmanuel, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I hope I'm also clear.
Okay, great. Yes, I can see you now. Let me just add this in spotlight. And then, yes, so we are good to go. Yep. So I hope that you guys can see all of us clearly as as we get started with the conversation, and will request that each and every of you stays muted. I cannot seem to see. Do you see Emmanuel? You see all of us? Let me
Yeah,
stop.
I see all of you.
Yes, I think you guys can see us now. Emmanuel, can you hear me clearly?
Oh, yeah,
Can you
loud and
just confirm if you can hear me?
yeah, I can.
Okay, Ayen, you can also hear me, right? Ayen, can you hear me?
I think you need to unmute and sound.
You unmute. It looks like you're Ayen. Ayen, you turn on your mic.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, thank you. All right, great.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. So we'll first start with an introduction. So we start with Ayen. Tell us who you are, and then we move to Emmanuel. You're welcome, Ayen.
Okay. I think it's afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yana Cholden. I'm a journalist by profession, and I'm a communications consultant. And I've worked in most of the different fields of media, in mass media, in print and radio, and then also online, and also been in many organizations. So I'm very happy to be here to talk about fact checking, my experiences in fact checking. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ian. It's nice having you, and we look forward to tapping to your wealth of experience as you share your knowledge and also insights in the issue of disinformation in South Sudan. Over to you, Emmanuel.
All right. Thank you so much. My name's Emmanuel Obijo, and I work for Junub Open Space. And I'm a social entrepreneur and an activist. It's a pleasure being here, and I'm looking forward to share with you on today's topic. Thank you. And nice meeting you
Okay,
again.
great. Thank you so much.
So,
Yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel. And you are doing an excellent work at Junub Open Space. Keep up. Now, just to the lay person, what is disinformation? What is disinformation? Any of you can take, and then another person can add. What is disinformation?
okay, not to be gender biased, but maybe ladies first today, if that's okay with you. So, this information, in my understanding, is giving uh, the wrong kind of information to people. And there's actually different kinds of disinformation. There's inaccurate information, which is to deliberately deceive. But there's also something called malinformation, which is usually done in with a bad intention to destroy other people or to deceive other people. So disinformation is providing the wrong information, while malinformation has malice in it. Like for example, catfishing. You can catfish somebody. You may know the phrase. It's a phrase that's being used by youth. There's a program called Catfish, where people present themselves in a way that they're not, in order to get some financial gains or some romantic gains or to deceive people. And then there's also malinformation in terms of providing maybe revenge porn or something like creating videos that are not exactly true and using technology to deceive people. And then I'm not an expert on these issues, but artificial intelligence can also be used to deceive people, especially in a place like Africa, where where we're not really literate and we're not even computer literate. Even the people who are educated are not computer literate. In the beginning, I was one of the people who was scoffing on Fidel's page about artificial intelligence, how it's not important. In America now, you have to study artificial intelligence to get some certain jobs, and I thought it was not serious. But it's come to my understanding that knowing about artificial intelligence also is part of being able to fact check and to be aware of information. So this is the little that I can share so far about disinformation, malinformation, and technology that this is.
Excellent. That is quite insightful and very detailed. Emmanuel, do you have anything to add, or you're okay with the
Uh,
definition provided?
I think the definition actually captured it more, and the fact that she is able to detail it more, I think, explains much further. Thank you.
Okay, great. What about Emmanuel? You tell us who is a stakeholder when we talk about what the stakeholders can do. But first of all, let us tell the audience who is a stakeholder.
Okay, thank you so much
Emmanuel.
for this question. Um, I can say stakeholder is almost everyone. You are a stakeholder. I am a stakeholder. All the people within this forum today, they are all stakeholders. And maybe the stakeholders can be categorized like different categories. Let me say, more especially when we talk around this today's topic on misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and all these other topics. You know, key stakeholders around this particular topic is, for example, civil society organizations, media organizations, bring students, bring social media users, bring in the government, the community chief, bring in the all these categories of people, they are stakeholders, and each of them have a specific role, in particular in combating misinformation. This is okay. Let me break it. Let me bring it down. For example, closer to what we're working on as Union for Palestine. I believe majority of the people here, or some of them might have heard or seen the work we do with around misinformation, combating misinformation or disinformation offline. In the organization, under our Salam to Date program. Our key stakeholders in this one here, or the group that we work together with, are the parents, the women, the men within the area, the community leaders like the chiefs, like the elderly people within the area. Those two are our key stakeholders. Because majorly we're tackling on how can disinformation or misinformation be mitigated at the grassroots level or at the community level. One thing that is really very difficult is tracing the source of information or disinformation that actually moves within the community, because in some real life experience, if we try to walk a little bit behind or some years back, for example, we start from 2019, 2020, and also maybe a little bit more back in 2013 and 2016, all this has like different kind of disinformation that have gone really, really in a very fast way and like pressing it the exact source to come with this stuff. And the role of the stakeholders in this part, those stakeholders that I've mentioned, for example, the community leaders, they have a critical role, a great role to play actually in combating or mitigating this misinformation or disinformation at the community level. For example, one is to the key that the role that they play in order to reduce this disinformation is that, for example, reducing violence which can happen, likely can happen in an offline setup because of disinformation, because of these rumors that can. I think briefly that is what I can say. All right. Thank you, Peter. I I just I'll reduce the speed. Yeah. Thank you so much for this, and I think my would like to elaborate more on this for me.
Okay, okay, great. So my takeaway is a stakeholder is someone who partakes in an activity, probably benefiting in one way or the other, or adding value to a particular project. So let's move to disinformation in South Sudan, because now I believe our audience have an understanding of what disinformation is, and they also know who a stakeholder is. Now, when you look at the context of South Sudan, again, how prevalent is the issue of disinformation, in your opinion, or in your observation or experience, Ayen?
Yes, definitely. I can just give you my opinion because if I would like to get some statistics, I'll probably look on your website to get the statistics of exactly what the figures are of this information. But in my opinion, it's prevalent because of the high illiteracy. Um, our population is highly illiterate, and many people are in the rural areas. Many people are not exposed, so they're easily impressionable. Also because of cultural practices and cultural beliefs which align with communities. So it's very prevalent in South Sudan, and I just wanted to share that it's in terms of in terms of exposure to cultures, we're not so much exposed to our different cultures. If we don't move around, some of the people in the village may not be exposed. And then also, they're not so exposed to people outside. So when they get online, they're, they're, they can be in threat. So in terms of disinformation, I just want to give some examples like the conspiracy theories of COVID-19. Many of us were part of, we were exposed to the conspiracy theories, but it's not only in South Sudan where people were given poor information or deceived. It was happening in America and it was happening all over the world. It was very hard to find the right information. But in South Sudan, we had some stories about a baby that was being born, and the baby said that we have to drink tea with sugar, and then we'll not get COVID-19. And then also disinformation was very it was one of the reasons why the war in 2013 was so violent and erupted uh, like wildfire all over this country because of disinformation, because of rumors, because of incitement and incitement of people online. People were plunged into war, and there was a lot of hate speech that happened. So hate speech is also part of disinformation because it's not accurate. You're using your emotions, your biases, in order to deceive people and to incite them into action. So the same way that people can turn into a mob physically by hearing something, it can happen online. You can incite people to violence online. So it's highly prevalent. People are highly impressionable, and information really needs to be controlled. And that's why many governments try to control. Uh, they try to control the internet. They try to control the media. They try to control telecommunications because if information gets into the wrong hands, then there can be widespread violence, and there can be ethnic violence, and all kinds of things in the country. But at the same time, I'd like to go back to our mandate. Whenever we're talking, we always talk about our mandate. And I'm a journalist, so I always talk about freedom of expression. So freedom of expression is under Article 34, and it's important for us to be able to exercise our freedom, to be able to participate, to have good civic space. So civic space means the ability to speak freely, access to information, and the ability to assemble so that we can uh, make decisions that affect our make decisions that affect our lives. And some of it are democratic processes like elections. So information is very, very important and it's crucial for civil societies and it's crucial for the media to share to the society so that they can make decisions. But at the same time, actors can intervene and provide negative information to mislead people for political interest, for control, uh, or to even endanger them. So one of the fears that we have as people who work in communications and people who are concerned about the country is the disinformation online. For example, children who want to go for scholarship abroad. If they're provided with the wrong information, they may end up in the wrong hands. They may end up in something called trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking, organ trafficking. So disinformation is very prevalent, and these are some of the fears. Well, we are maybe second to third generation educated people. We are also not very computer literate in the country. So as people are getting online, as people who are not really exposed are using phones, there's a danger that they can be deceived. There's a danger that they can end up, especially young girls and young boys, there's a danger that they can end up being misused, exposed to wrong cultures and wrong behaviors. As you may have seen lately, a lot has been happening online. People are talking about chicken and pizza. They're talking about prostitution and the things that are a bit abnormal for our culture. Sorry that I took so much time and I diverted into just like many different tangents. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, this is very, very elaborate. And now, Emmanuel, when you look at news, or when you look at information, and when you look at disinformation itself, so what have you identified as some of the key sources of disinformation in South Sudan? Where does this false information with bad intention come from?
All right. Thank you so much, Bedal. For Peter, I will try to be a little bit slow this time. um, I think there's so many sources of this information in South Sudan. So many. And, the fact that right now, all of us are not consumers of information again. Most of us are now content creators. We are not only consuming, but we also curate those information. And the fact that our community, most of them, they're not aware between what they are spreading, whether it is this or whether it is misinformation, whether it's disinformation, whether it is fake news or whatever, and someone who is going to be at the receiving end. So what we just does is that we just go and just receive the information. And those categories of people are very many. You know, it starts from social media. We have tons of social media pages, okay? Some of them, by the way, is not been managed by our people within here. Some of them are managed by people in the diaspora. So I can start by saying that the people in the diaspora contribute a lot on this information infrastructure. A lot. I can take back I can take it back, for example, 2013 and 2016. The people in the diaspora contributed a lot in South Sudan in line of this information. Also, okay, just before that, the reason why the people in the diaspora, someone is asking whether freedom of speech is free in this country. The reason why the people in the diaspora contribute a lot in creating disinformation in South Sudan, particularly, is because they know where they are, there's freedom. Where they are, they cannot easily be pressed. They cannot be easily be caught to be brought here. Okay, so that they're like the number one contributors of this information. The second group of people that contribute this information in South Sudan are the active social media users who don't know what the actually they're doing. Okay, they don't know. Uh, what they know is that they have clear intention of what exactly they want at the end of the message. Okay, they put a very strong call to action in almost most of the information. You will always see a very strong call to action at the end of the information. And also, the other category of people that contribute this information, you know, uh, people with bad intention, like I can say influencers. Some of those influencers who create, who, they impersonate someone and they use that person, I mean, that profile of that person personnel in order to curate those information. And mostly, I can say it is online on social media. The moment you reach offline is just something else. It's not the effect, but like majority are actually active social media users. And also not only South Sudanese. I cannot only say that South Sudanese creating most of this information. There's some people like, let me say, for example, Kenyans, Ugandans, who are not within the country, but they still they create. I group them all under the group of the people in the diaspora because though they are not South Sudanese, but they have their own intention of what exactly they wanted to achieve at the end of the day in contributing this information. So there are like a number of category of people that actually contribute this information. I think this is what I can say. Maybe my colleague Ian have additional to add on it.
Do you have any additions, Ian, on the sources of this
Yeah,
information?
exactly. Just a few because I'm always controversial. So, yeah, I like what he was saying about impersonation, because these are platforms when you want to impersonate somebody in order to exploit them or to mislead them. So there's a lot of people who open up Facebook accounts in order to mislead people, impersonate, and then also to maybe shame or embarrass or just to take advantage. But then again, I mentioned it earlier, but uh, criminals in the dark web, and then people who are engaged in human trafficking, which is an international problem right now. I just mentioned it because there are many cases that are happening in America right now where people are being condemned for human trafficking and they're being arrested for it. Then you have tabloid magazines. I know that some of our magazines and some of our sources, like South Sudan Bro and Hot and Juba, to mention some, they're very entertaining, but we also have to be able to differentiate between what is real and what is not, because sometimes they do provide information that's true, sometimes we don't know. And then also you have things like clickbait. This is more in the West, where they just say something. They say that this person is this person is both a man and a woman, just so that they can make you enter, and then it becomes a lie. So these are some of the things. And then don't forget, we can have some sponsored platforms that are politically motivated from any side, even if it's state-centered, state-sponsored, or if it's politically sponsored. Yes, let me end there.
Wow. So we see that actually we have some of these people in the diaspora, especially these people. They do this. I see these days they have this thing called clubhouse. They have their rooms in clubhouse where where they discuss these issues. And then you have even most of them they go live on Facebook. Like they don't have work on TikTok. They go live and they abuse people and they speak all sort of nonsense. And then we also have this alternative media like you mentioned, the South Sudan bro. Sometimes they think that they're actually making memes which are fun, but when you look beyond the meme, there's a lot of context to what they are saying. We also have the alternative media and regulated media, the Juba Eyes, the Hodin Jubas, the 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 64 tribes press, a lot of them. I see new ones coming these days, so a lot and a lot of them, and most of them have this content that is very very misleading. So let's talk about let's talk about stakeholders now. What, because sometimes we have to do counter arguments, yeah, when we come across this piece of content. So as somebody who is a news consumer, and again for you, you're a journalist, for instance, if I come across information that I suspect is misleading, what two advices would you give me?
Okay, not to be too lazy, but one of my advice is to go to South Sudan 211 check, because you'll find that there's some professionals there who can help you immediately. Yes, but it's a very important. The second advice I'd say is to also try to cross reference, because as journalists and civil society, actually we have ethics, and our ethics is all about doing no harm and also making sure that your sources are credible. So in order to make sure your sources are credible, you try to go and get the information from the source. Maybe if there's a online source of that information, if you can find the source directly, you can try to do that. So these are my two advices.
What about Emmanuel? How would you advise, like when we come across content from this?
All right. I think that the thing is very simple, some 50 steps that I think is very, very important for everyone almost. One is don't trust, verify before any step. Once you come across it, don't trust. You first need to verify. And then also second, also it goes back to you, whether it is what sources of information you always trust whenever you get such information. So if you get such information, you first need to go to the source that you always get trusted information. Run there faster and try to check. If you get the same similar information, still, you try to verify in other different sources. Once you think it is now accurate, and then maybe you can. But the information still goes, don't trust, verify first about the source. And then also, I think it is good to take really very good precautions. For example, you know, this information, it traumatized. It creates those, that kind of mental problem. You'll be going a lot. You'll be thinking, why? Because for you are the receiving end, okay? You don't know the intention of that person, and whatever that person puts up there, the intention of that person is different. For you who come across it, you always have like so many things in it runs your mind. So I think the best to do is that you need to really, first of all, focus on yourself and try to try to look at your own self. Like I'm okay. This information is not made for me, not mine. I need to take my slow steps in order to verify. That's where you start talking to your own self in order to before you start taking any step. It is very important that you have worked out on your mental health, which you cannot be able to be traumatized at the end of the day. Because trust me, uh, almost most of the South Sudanese youth in general, and I would like to focus on youth, most of them goes on daily, a lot of stress daily. So adding up with the such misinformation or disinformation that comes across their way in a day, it will mess up the entire day. And the fact that that things, whatever that person created, really touches so much, it reduce the activity of that person in that particular day. So I think the best the person can do is one, reduce. You don't trust the information. Try to verify it. Take your time to verify. Don't rush. Don't rush. Take it slowly and don't click, don't like, don't share, don't do any of these things because the moment you do it, colors, just know it is going to increase. And don't go immediately start also calling people, asking people around like, hey, have you heard about this? Is it true? The moment you start asking those questions also, it increases. So you just need really to be very careful. And the fact that now there's so many tools that someone can use to verify such information, I think it becomes really good. There are tons of social media tools that you can use to verify whether the information is true, whether it is in many sources at once, or whether it is what. So it becomes really easy. And of course, as I have mentioned, I think 211 Tech is the right platform and the right community to actually assist in that one there as soon as possible and different other users. And maybe someone that you really trust that can provide you accurate information can be really good. Yeah, I think that's what I can add. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, both Ayen and Emmanuel, for talking about the potential sources of disinformation and some of the things that we can do as news consumers in order to ensure that we do not become victims of disinformation. Now, we have talked about the sources, we have talked about what we can do. Now, I want both of you to look at two sides of the coins and tell us the significant impacts of disinformation on a society like South Sudan. What could be the negative impacts of disinformation, and what could be the positive impacts of disinformation, if any? Like any of you can go first, and yeah,
Right. I think uh, this is a very important one. The positive side and the negative side. Of course, it is
yeah.
there all. Right. Uh, I would like to start with the negative side of this information. Of course, there are tons of them, and I believe some of us or most of us have been affected in one or the other around this disinformation and misinformation that has been most of South Sudanese or have been experiencing for the past many years. And as someone who have worked closely around this particular topic, I've seen a lot of such negative effects, including fighting, that misinformation that leads to fight, misinformation that leads to family breakdown, misinformation that leads to brothers separating, misinformation that leads uh, to even divorce, and even letting to some people being arrested, accused of all these things. So I think there's a number of these negative sides of this information. But then the positive side also I can say is that this information, if it is created for the purpose of joke or laughter, it relief. It gives that humor, right? You laugh at the end of the day like, nah, you know, it is not true. It also let people become really start conversing on some topics that are not really uh, 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 true, for example. And let me say, uh, during back time of the former mayor of Juba, you find out there are a lot of misinformation that have been going around, and then the following day you see he's acting upon immediately. He's taking action to do what he have actually had. It was a rumor, but then you see the following day he's already with his voice in the state, and he's already doing his work. And you wonder like, hey, how did it was not true, but now it is true because he's not doing it. That's like the positive side inside of the development, you know. And then you also find out like some disinformation. Let me take back to my village. There were some rumors around a water point that was to be built. It was a rumor. It was information was not clear. It was still created just by someone, formulated. But at the end of the day, when it was being really fact-checked down there, actually these people could not deliver what was said. You know, it was partly disinformation, it was misinformation, but at the end of the day, once it is being verified, it was indeed not happen. Those people were again held accountable, and they were able to cover the losses that they are supposed to deliver to the community. You know that. So I believe development-wise, yes, that is like the two positives that I've seen it have happened. But then it has a lot of music. Yeah, I think I'll end from here. Thank you.
Yes, Ian.
Yes. Let me also start with the negative, so that we can end with positive. So the significant impact, I believe, is some of it is catfishing, where you can present yourself in a way, and then also it's extortion. Also, in terms of some sites, they've been hacking into some people's Facebook pages and then also trying to extort them, right? So once the information is out on a certain platform, then maybe it can be malinformation, like exposing people and putting them in a bad situation. And people can even commit suicide because of things like that. So that kind of information, like everything comes with responsibility. So sometimes this can be the negative impact of people using people's information against them, which is negative. And then you can also have, for me, in my opinion, one of the things the information that I'm seeing on these platforms is the rise in the battle of the sexes. It's really tiresome in South Sudan. The rise of chauvinism and feminism and people just fighting each other. Fair women, fair men. That some of it is humorous, but some of it can mislead people, about certain things. When we should really be talking about humanity and, like caring about people and saving lives. And then the information can also lead to bullying. So you get the wrong information and then you start bullying people. And as you see, it's humorous, but maybe this is our culture. We really have a rough way of dealing with each other. Like, for example, like Walla Book had his wedding, and now everybody is calling him somebody who's crying. If he cries, we not cry. So, there's a way that we're using information in a way that, people can even start saying things that have never happened. So socially, it seems to be challenging the way that we South Sudanese are dealing with information. We can pass rumors. Maybe something didn't happen. We say that it happened. So it can have a negative impact of basically. I think Emmanuel mentioned it earlier. It will have an impact on your mental health eventually. If you're exploited because of wrong information, your mental health is affected. If you're extorted because the information went to the wrong place because of bad intentions, your mental health will be affected. If you're bombarded, also there's something called information overload. If we're bombarding ourselves completely with information, right, negative information all the time, it can also be very, very stressful. So it can really have an impact on all of us as a community. We should not be desensitized as a company. We cannot just say that we've been in a war, so we're used to this, and then attack it. No, we also have feelings. We have a threshold. So not all of this information should be bombarded on us. So we should manage the information that we receive. So in terms of the positive side of information, we have civic education as a civil society. We'll be able to provide information on voting. We're having an elections in 2024. So if we use the platform wisely, we'll be able to provide information. A lot of information has been provided. Let's talk. If we talk about the normal modes of media, the radio, word of mouth, and other medias and microphones. Back in the referendum, the use of information was useful to give information to people to determine their rights to vote for a referendum, and we succeeded and developed this country called South Sudan through our rights, through the information of how to vote and what's a referendum meant for us, and we established a nation. So information is very important for voting, for deciding your political and to decide your political future and also decide your future as an individual. And then some of the positive things also include nation building. Like we have events like the basketball tournament that brought us together. Thank God for media. Thank God for telephones, because for us we're able to receive live. Many of us were in different places receiving live streams of the basketball, and this actually affected our psyche because we're seeing ourselves as successes, and it's bringing us together. We're also able to, in the negative part, we're able to learn about negative cultures. Like a lot of the ladies right now, and the young men, there's a phenomenon that's happening all over the world. And I don't know if it's because of this generation, because every generation has its own beefs and issues that they have. And this generation has its own, a lot of things that are happening, but now talking about your boyfriend should provide you chicken and you shouldn't provide you chapati. So now, is this part of our cultures? Is this something sensible? Is it part of our family values? I'm sure that the social media can affect your family values in another way, but at the same time, you'll be able to learn about positive cultures. You may be able to go and learn about something new, positive things, how to manage stress, like what to wear, how to do your hair, how to braid your hair, how to do business. There's a lot of information that can help you actually advance yourself if you focus on the right information. And then it's also very informative, and it can help you advance. Information usually is power, but it's all about the information that you choose to consume. So you have to be very selective. So this generation of youth, we need to make sure that there's a selective useful use of information. It's very hard to filter information nowadays, and I think that I'm not sure if it's worse for South Sudan than in other countries, because we have young people who should not be having phones. I know that in my time, I never had a phone until I was 17, 18. I never had access to a phone. But if you find a child that has access to a phone at 11 and 12 in the era of internet, there can be a lot of uncertainty.
Wow. Yeah, true. Like, so we know that, again, of course, you are a media consultant, and we know that the mainstream media is a key stakeholder if we must push back disinformation. So, uh, let's talk about the strategies that we think the media, the mainstream media. Of course, we have still a very small and developing media landscape. Like when we talk about the mainstream media, like the ones, even there's no serious competition or from the aspect of mainstream media. For instance, the mainstream media that really publishes proper news like consistently in Juba, for example, or nationally, we talk about the iRadios, we talk about the Radio Miraya, and then when we come to newspapers, we have number one citizen newspaper, we have the City Review, we have the Altan, the Almogif, and then others that are still coming up. And then we also have the Dawn newspaper, which is an English publishing. So imagine, let's say, you are asked about combating disinformation, and then you work with this mainstream media, how would you advise them in terms of the strategies that they can employ in order to properly combat disinformation? What strategies do you think should be employed by mainstream media to help push back disinformation in South Sudan? First of all, okay, before you answer that, let me just ask you whether you see there are some efforts that are being made by this mainstream media in terms of combating disinformation, some visible efforts that you can tell from the way the media publishes, yeah, their content, or how the media has evolved over time, yeah. So for instance, let's in my case, if we talk about an alternative media like Hot in Juba. So when you see the way they publish their content now, is not the way they publish content maybe 1 or 2 years ago. You see that there has been huge change. Even you see that looks like they are moving away from being like Juba Eye. They are moving to being a mainstream media that sort of publishes accurate content and is trying to establish itself as a credible media house. So, do you see the same changes in terms of mainstream media? Because in the past, you see mainstream media are issuing apologies every now and then because of presenting content in a very wrong way or in a way that somehow disinforms audience. I don't know if you got me clearly.
Yes, yes, I did. Although it's a lot, but I'll try to remember everything. So in terms of the mainstream, sorry, in terms of
Okay,
the
okay.
alternative media, yes, you were talking about how they're going into um, more of a credible, professional path, right? So they're more professional nowadays, and I do believe it's I believe the main organization that is working on curbing misinformation is definitely Defy Hate. I'm actually from the cohort, third cohort, so I'm happy to be part of it. I haven't seen efforts made by media houses to combat disinformation, but maybe individuals who have sought out trainings from Defy Hate. There's some media organizations called the UJOS and NPC and FJN, and they're regularly part of trainings also that combat disinformation. What I've observed in the mainstream media, they've tried to acquire professional journalists and train the journalists to make sure that they're in line with the ethics. Because the job itself, being a journalist, has ethics that align with credible information and align with fact checking. So it's supposed to be part of the job. So the journalists are now becoming more professional. We have a lot of batches, young batches coming from Media Institute and from the universities who are passionate journalists, and journalism is also becoming, people are allowing their children to become journalists. In the past, it was not considered a good field. So I'm seeing that the credibility of an organization like HIJ, I believe it may be from pressure from other groups, other professional groups who are pressuring them to make sure that they have information, because actually HIJ are professional journalists, most of them. So they know better. Maybe they were doing it because they need followers. There's a different kind of attitude online about followers, and also entertainment. Entertainment is also part of it. Magazines normally entertain, and there's usually a little bit of scandal here and there. But as long as it's not a dangerous kind of a scandal, if it's harmless revelations of people in the limelight, then it's not an issue. What I've observed with the general media, the mainstream media, those of iRadio, I've actually observed that they're becoming a bit more entertainers. They're not talking more about football, right? They're not talking more about artists. So maybe they're picking a little bit about a little bit of entertainment from Odin Juba and South Sudan Bro. They have their jokes also, and they have the feedback that they want from the society. So I think that both sides are picking from each other while trying to, in the middle, the truth is always in the middle. It's a bit of both. But as long as there's no harm done, that is the main thing. That's my observation, but it's not scientific. I can do a scientific one next time.
No worries, no worries. You great. Yeah. So okay. Now let's move to the strategies. Emmanuel, what Emmanuel? I don't know if you can. Emmanuel, are you there? Emmanuel, are you
Yeah,
there? Okay. Okay, so let's look at the strategies. What do you think, like the mainstream media as key stakeholders should do? What strategies should they employ in order to help in their efforts to push this information? What recommendations would you make?
okay. I think to this mainstream media in general, these are like the biggest media outlet that actually has already a huge follow, and like they have a lot that they can actually contribute to push back around this particular topic. And most especially, for example, if there is any disinformation, and if they can be contributors to alert the people or the public or their followers in general that this information is not true. Okay, that actually one build on their credibility because people will get to trust them more. They can be a one-stop shop for almost all true information. For example, you know, back in then, always Radio Mira had been like the only credible source of information. Almost everything. If you not hear it on Radio Mira, and then it will not happen. Almost. And then I think over time, iRadio came in and other media outlets. So iRadio has been the second platform whereby like most people, I'm talking also like basically from the point, from an angle of, from a number of outreach sessions or programs, we ask people like which or where do they get which platform or which media outlet is actually where they get the information from. You know, they end up mentioning some of these key media outlets. So I think if those mainstream media or any most of these media houses can actually help in in once they find out or if they have, I know they have been guided by ethics, the journalist ethics, and of course what I end up mentioned, do no harm. You know, they already having those principles. I think that already will be a little bit push, for example, in making sure that if any disinformation that goes out, they can able to put further on it. But also, I think they will be very, very careful. They should be careful, in fact, on increasing the spread of this same information. You know, one thing that as fact checkers is that the moment information, you know, it is false or you know it is misleading, you know, you don't need to reshare it further. The fact that you share it further, it catches more, the reach become bigger, you know, very many people get to know about it. I think if they could be able to if come up within themselves, within the different media outlets they're coming from, if they can be able to just mention in a line, but not to share the whole content, putting it up, I think will be really, really good to contribute to the reduction of this misinformation in general. And I think also working with such amazing group will be good. This can be a platform for them for quick verification. Let them liaison with individuals, with influencers who can easily spread out this information really fast to people and be able to capture huge rates. And these influencers, we should not only focus within the city, that's one thing. There are also influencers at the grassroots, trust me. There are those influencers that people follow them. People trust the source of their information. You know, we understand like back in 2013 and 2015, it's like everyone having Facebook is like the only source of information in the household. So any information that the person reads from Facebook and tells the family tells the neighbors tell the neighbors, and everyone takes it to be the true source of information, you know. But like, if we are to have these different media houses push back on this misinformation and create a safer community, I think we should also engage the influencers. We should also engage like key community stakeholders, I mean elders, people that uh, people trust information that comes from them. I think that will definitely contribute a lot to creating a safer online community and as well safer offline community with the South Sudanese in general. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, when we talk about the government is a very, very key stakeholder in the information ecosystem because ideally, most of the information comes from the government as an authentic source. Then, when we look at the media landscape, we have about three government agencies. We have the Ministry of Information, we have the Information Commission, and then we have the Media Authority. Ideally, organizations that work with the media are supposed to work with these organizations in order to effectively implement their projects. I, for one, I've worked at Tuan Check, but I haven't yet worked in collaboration with a government agency such as the Media Authority. Somehow we have worked with the information access, especially when it comes to maybe event launch or maybe inviting them to come make comments. Yeah. So, how what are some of the suggestions that you would give, like for instance in the project that you worked on, the Salam Tibet project? I also don't know if you have engaged government agencies, but I believe you've somehow worked with chiefs that somehow government people. Now, how best do you think we can work with the government, like civil society organizations? How best do you think civil society organizations can work with government institutions to address the issue of disinformation? This can be issues to do with media literacy, it can be issues to do with policy recommendations, or even legislations. I am.
Okay, yes, I'm a fan of dealing with politics, talking about politics, and I believe that charity starts at home. So I would really say training, training, training. Just like as we're doing now, we're providing a source of information and training. It's very important for the media themselves to continue the training which they're doing. They're trying to be professional and being professionalized. And also the government would need to start with its own ministry. They need to also have their standards need to be higher in terms of managing information, in terms of flow of information, in terms of communication within the communication strategy within the ministry and outside the ministry. In terms of dealing with the different organs, yeah, definitely collaborations and dialogues are important. With the media, they already started their dialogues between the security forces and the police, and they're also being trained on issues to do with basically relating with the media, because in the past the media hasn't had a good relationship with some of the organs. So the first step is to approach the institution that is concerned, which is the Ministry of Information and the Media Authority, have the dialogues, see where the common agenda is, and then to formulate a policy. Like with the Female Journalist Network, when it came to gender issues, they formed a policy with the Ministry of Gender and the Media Authority in terms of how issues to do with media and women and issues pertaining to gender mainstreaming, gender balance, and things affecting women were combined in the policy. So when you have a policy or basically a communications policy, you can support the government to form their own communications policy. Actually, they have to have a way or MO, modus of operandi, how will they operate, and then will they how will you how will they operate? How do they manage information themselves within the ministry? And then we continue to empower ourselves as journalists. Thankfully, nowadays the trainings that are taking place are data journalism. So that means that we journalists are becoming more professional researchers. And then hate speech mitigation is one of the trainings that journalists are doing. And hate speech, to stop hate speech, we have to try to begin at home. So it goes back to training yourself, empowering yourself as a journalist, and even the ministry, they need to be trained on hate speech mitigation and also technical trainings that I'm sure that 211 Check can provide about fact checking and also artificial intelligence. These are some. Thank you.
I think the that internet maybe falls a little.
Thank you. Yeah. I think I've given my contribution. Maybe Emmanuel, you can add.
Yeah, I got cut off a little bit. I did not pick the last word, but I believe it's majorly giving recommendations to stakeholders that can contribute to, or that people can be able to work with together.
Yes.
Yeah, like in general around, you know, under our Salon debate program that Bida was mentioning before I was cut off from the internet, is
Mm.
our key stakeholders were the chiefs. But like right now, we're developing a new strategy, a new, we're mapping out new stakeholders and like some new key stakeholders that is already I mean, like on our plan, including means of peace building. Uh, we're looking also at the community, the Commission for Peace, Healing and Reconciliation as one of our stakeholders already. Uh, we find out that really very vital. These have been like communities that actually I see that they have a lot of role, a bigger role. The fact that Commission for Peace, Healing and Reconciliation, you know, this commission have been there. I just find out that they actually have a huge mandate that they're supposed to be role that they're supposed to be playing. So I find also the commission is a key stakeholder and some other relevant bodies. For example, the council of churches. Churches have been or religion in general been a huge contributors to peace building in general. Because at the end of the all this effort is to contribute to peace building. The fact that to contribute to peace building, the commission, the religion body within South Sudan, both it can be Islamic, it can be Christian. All of them also are key stakeholders that they really need to be engaged because like the fact that the reach of this particular group is really big and diverse. It has like diverse people from different backgrounds and communities. That can really also be good. And then another key stakeholder is also another key stakeholder can be the Ministry of Education. When we talk about media literacy, they also contribute to that. Oh, in general, because they are like they devolve curriculum. They develop. I know that some media bodies, like for example, maybe the AMBIs, maybe the one, those are regulated bodies, but also come down to, or maybe go up to telecommunication or even media authority. All those are that regulated media bodies in general. They also are key other key stakeholders that I find it is very vital to actually work together with them closely on this particular topic around misinformation, disinformation, all these contribute to peace building at the end of the day. All these bodies are very, very vital to work with. Yeah, I think briefly that's what I can be able to add. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ayen, and thank you so much, Emmanuel. So we are going for a 5 minutes break. I'm giving you guys some 5 minutes. You can take a walk around. You can grab a glass of water. You can change your sitting position. Yeah, so that yeah. So 5 minutes break. We'll continue with the discussion uh, at 35 minutes past 3 p.m. In the meantime, for all the audience, I will be sharing the attendance register in the chat box as well as on the YouTube live chat. For those ones who are following on YouTube, kindly do register your attendance. For Ayan and Emmanuel, your excuse, you can go and grab a glass of water, change your sitting position a bit, and then we can get back after 5 minutes. Thank you so much for the insights. It's been a very elaborate discussion and very important insights. For those of you who have been following keenly, I believe that you have picked a couple of points that can help you, especially in media work, or even if you're a media stakeholder, how best you can improve your work. Once again, if you're following on Zoom, I have already shared the attendance in the chat box. Please click on the link and then enter your attendance details. If you're following on YouTube, we are just sharing the attendance register in the live chat. So do click on the link to the attendance register in the live chat and then fill in your details. If you're writing your name, make sure that you follow proper punctuation. Begin your name with capital letter. Don't begin your name with a small letter. And then also enter your correct phone number for those ones who will be requesting a data refund so that it is sent to the correct number. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I will be reading some of the comments that we have both on YouTube as well as in the chat box. So if you're following on YouTube, I have already shared the link. I have already shared the attendance on the YouTube live chat. I am it now. Every of you who is following the session live on YouTube. Otherwise, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. We are on a break. Enjoy your break, your 5 minutes break. I will also be reading some of the comments that are left by most of you since the start of the session, and then also sharing your thoughts with all of us in this call. Yeah, I see on YouTube somebody is saying get knowledge at the end. Okay. Yeah, somebody. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. The attendance is shared in the register. Please register your attendance. Register your attendance. Register your attendance. We have pinned the attendance register. If you're following on YouTube, kindly. I see there are about 12 people following the session on YouTube. So kindly register your attendance. And for on Zoom, we have shared the register in the chat box. Also, if you're following on YouTube, we'll be sharing Zoom and you are not able to fill in the survey form. Most of you have been able to fill in the survey form. It's very, very important because in December, we'll be releasing a report that will inform policies in regards to the disinformation landscape in this country. And it will be a reference document, which will be very helpful for all of us. So reading through some of the attendance register is pinned, is shared in the chat box. So please check this, check the chat box for a document written online training attendance, and then you click on the link. You be serious, my friend. We have some comments here. I see. I will be reading a few comments from some of you, and it's over. I see Aquila is saying that effective collaboration requires communication, coordination, and mutual trust between civil society organizations and the government, because by working together, they can have a greater impact on combating disinformation and misinformation in South Sudan, in fostering an informed and resilient society. That is true. David Bangping is saying that misinformation is typically the information carried out before being said or even being done. Such a way is common here in South Sudan because most of our people believe in person, even though they feel them with unreliable information. It doesn't matter if the person is giving something. Um, no, that is not true. When we talk of misinformation, misinformation is false information that is shared without ill intention. Yeah, somebody just shares the information, they think it's true, and they are trying to help other people, but they don't have ill. And I see someone here. Likambu Jigo is saying that I believe the mainstream media can do a lot in combating disinformation and misinformation by taking their time to get information from right sources. These days, even mainstream media feel reluctant to dig deep into a story, but rather they just copy paste a story from any source they find online. That's pretty sad. And yeah, it's true that really mainstream media need to dig deep and need to take their time to get information from right sources, like you have put it. Thank you so much for that comment. I see Jagdiek Gatkek is saying South Sudan cannot control the flow of information to the citizens of this nation because they are leading in misinforming the citizens. That's pretty sad also. And then I see Aquila is again saying that promoting media leads up. Aquila is saying that promoting is saying where is his comment? I cannot seem to find the comment. Let me just check it again. Um, let me just check it again. Let me just check it again. Um, just check it again. Okay, let me just check it again quickly. It's talking about supporting. It's talking about supporting media. He says that okay. So the problem is this chat is acting funny. So yeah, I see Justin Simon earlier made a comment that it is important to recognize that individuals in the diaspora can have diverse opinions and perspectives. While some may contribute positively to discussions, others may engage in disinformation. It is crucial to approach information critically and seek reliable sources to understand various viewpoints. That is true, Justin Simon. And somebody is saying is really impressed by today's discussion in as much as he is learning a lot. Thank you so much. Got quote Michael Gatpan. And then there's somebody saying, Justin is again saying that few of the people in diaspora decide. That's true, yeah. Not all people in the diaspora contribute to this information, but some of them do that. And Marco Ariat is saying South Sudan diaspora is fond of disinformation and propaganda. Yeah, some of them. It's quite true. And Daniel Aguirre Duor is saying that politicians in the country are a big source of disinformation and misinformation to some politicians. And then somebody is saying the discussion need a bottle of water. I hope you were able to grab your bottle of water. And David Ping again is saying disinformation is mostly the best tools to politicians to mislead the locals and use them for their personal gain. That is sad. And Marco Aria is saying politicians, diaspora, citizen journalists, and youth are the big deal when it comes to disinformation. Quite true. And someone was asking about attendance. Attendance list has been shared, so kindly fill in your attendance. I hope that all of you have filled in with the correct details. And somebody is saying this innovation sometimes used to defeat enemies. Yeah, pretty true. And somebody is saying operational disruption because when there's false information, for instance, false information about security, it can cause panic and can disrupt operations of key things. Like most of you have seen the recent news about a coup in Juba, and then you've seen some sort of panic among members of people that would reside in Juba. And David Benping again is saying, mostly I do blame journalists for believing in disinformation and immediately run on air to check without checking whether they are based on fact or not. That is true. Peter Dada is saying today's topic is the best. people are complaining about Ian's voice. I hope that later on you are able to get it. And I see Peter Dada. I see Nicholas Manyang Makeng. He's saying that South Sudan has experienced significant challenges in achieving stability and peace. Disinformation can exacerbate existing tensions, fuel conflict, and hinder reconciliatory efforts. That is very true. And by combating disinformation, it is possible to promote stability and foster an environment for sustainable peace. Quite true. And then Peter Dada is again saying, like, for example, in the government, the country information sector is the problem is disinformation. I don't know how. And let's see, the promotion of media literacy and supporting independent journalism. Yeah, so our break time is yeah, I I we I hope that most of you have been able to register your attendance and fill the survey link. I am sharing the link for the survey again. Please and please do complete this survey. It's very, very important to you, the country, and who wants to contribute towards the effort to combat disinformation. If you are following on YouTube, I am pinning the link to the survey in the chat box. The survey by clicking the link and then filling the information to complete the survey. And of course, thank you in advance for your participation. I hope my panelists are back, Ian and then Emmanuel. I hope you guys have been. I hope you have had a well-deserved break, or you need more time.
Thank you. Thank you. We are back. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Yes. So are we all set? Can we proceed with the conversation? Okay. So I am sharing. I am sharing. I see a very, yeah. So I am putting this link to complete the survey for those ones who are following on YouTube. It is being pinned in the chat box. So can you click on the link and be able to complete the survey? Thank you in advance for. I'm just trying to change my connection. I have a bit of connectivity issues. So let me just change my connection very quickly and then we can proceed with the discussion. Yes, can you guys hear me now, Emmanuel and Ian?
Loud and clear. I hope you can hear me.
Emmanuel and Ian, can you hear me? Can we proceed?
Can you hear me?
Okay, okay. Yes, I can hear you. So let us proceed with the discussion, and then just I think I have just two questions, and then we'll give it to the audience to ask. You can turn on your videos again. No, you
Sorry,
Yes, can you
give
tell
me
me?
one minute only because
Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's fine. That's
I'm coming in to the laptop.
great. Okay, so Emmanuel, we can just continue from there. When we talk about education and media literacy, uh, how, in your opinion, how do you think education and media literacy programs can contribute to reducing the spread of disinformation in South Sudan? Or do you think there are specific approaches or recommendations that can be considered when it comes to education and media literacy to combat disinformation? Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bida, for this. I was mentioning about media literacy previously. That's why I was saying one of our key stakeholders can be actually the Ministry of General Education and Instructional Means of Education, because they actually contribute a lot in curriculum development and some other developmental partners that really supports them a lot in this particular topic. So I think, you know, media literacy is key. The fact that we're now in a mostly, like, let me say, we're getting deeper into the digital age, and most of the things start moving digitally. I think media literacy is important. It should even start as even from primary level going ahead. Media literacy will be made available for different group, different age bracket. It is very, very important because one thing few people can recall back in 2019 when COVID-19 erupted, and because there is that gap among like different institutions in South Sudan. You understand there was a huge setback or a huge cut off from students from accessing online content. You understand? So I find it is really, really very important that media literacy will start from as low class as possible, and even vocational training centers and even different developmental partners, uh, different stakeholders. They should even start. They should start it from the small location or the small premises as possible, and even it should go back to our to the parents. Maybe all of us here we have sisters, we have brothers, we have younger siblings. Communities have a different concept. Once a young girl start having a smartphone or smart devices, start accessing internet, one thing that comes from them is that this person is spoiled. But I think with the current digital age, it's really, really very important that we start encouraging at least having these smart devices to our younger ones. I can give a practical example. Uh, it was early this year, some few months ago, during the International Day for Universal Access to Information, I was to do a presentation during that function at Imperial. And there was, I left my computer home and they just told me, okay, you're supposed to have a presentation by 11. And it was already 9 going to 10, and the distance from Imperial up to where I'm staying, it takes time. So if it is not this little basic information or media literacy or this basic tech skills that you actually empower your young sisters or your young brothers, it was going to be really difficult. I just asked them, hey, send for me this file from this particular folder in the computer, send it to me through email. And they're able to do. They saved my day, trust me. They were able to save my day. So one thing I can say is that media literacy will start from as low classes as possible. And it should also be a support. There should be a support from all developmental partners. It should be also a individual effort to ensure that actually people within the friends, their colleagues are able to be empowered. They're able to get like this basic skill, this basic knowledge in order to be able uh, to be identify, fact check, verify information, able to you know, to be able to be capable of knowing what is this, what is good, what is bad, what is harmful, what is not harmful. Yeah, I think briefly this is what I can say. I maybe want Ian can maybe add more on this one. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. I don't
Okay,
think I have
great.
much to add.
Would you like to add something?
Not much, but only basically the same thing that you're saying. Um, since I learned about mainstreaming, I like using that word, mainstreaming. So mainstreaming, like making it as part of policy in the curriculum. The I spoke to the former Minister of Education, and they're working on a curriculum. And this curriculum discusses citizenship and responsibilities of children. And IT literacy and fact-checking literacy can also be added into the curriculum, the school curriculum. Just as Emmanuel was saying, so I'm not saying much anything much different. So I agree with him on this case.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, my panelists, Ian and Emmanuel, for your insights. Now I am throwing into the audience. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can drop your questions in the chat box. Kindly raise your hand or you can drop your questions in the chat box. Yeah, there's a raise hand feature. You can put your hand up or you can drop your question in the chat box so that we can give it, you can read your question to the panelists in order to answer. You can raise your hand, please, if any questions for the panelists. Any questions? Oh, okay. You guys don't have any questions for the panelists?
Silence means everyone is okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Maybe maybe I will give it. I will give. Uh, I will give 2 minutes each to you, Lobijo and Ayen to close for us. Yeah.
I can see Sister
2 minutes each for
Ohide is
final.
having a hand up.
Uh, you can close, please. We can start with Ayen and then Emmanuel each for your closing remarks and call to action. Thank you.
You unmute your sound.
Yes, currently the kids at home, so I have to keep reminding myself to also, be computer literate. Even though I'm supposed to be very yes. So yes, thank you for this opportunity with one tech. I'm so honored to be part of this training, and thank you very much, Vida, for your
I wanted
panel
to say something,
moderation.
but
And Emmanuel, yeah, thank you so much. I think we met before, so thank you for being a great panelist. Yes, the call to action is that we must all undergo um, the training in new technologies. We have to be relevant and uh, embrace the tidal changes in technology that are happening all over the world. We cannot put our head in the sand, but we have to be part of what's happening in the globe. And what's happening in the globe is that there are new technologies that are being introduced day by day. For example, artificial intelligence. We should not be left behind as Africans. Uh, we've been left behind even though we have resources. The whole world has benefited from our resources. Um, so, for example, in Korea, I found out in the training that in Korea, the mobile phones that we consume and buy after the money is received, the dividends of the money goes back to the country, and they're actually sending their children for training on new technologies and uh, scientific technologies. These are some of the developments that we should follow, the trends that we should follow. We should delve into technology and delve into science to keep ourselves abreast and to keep ourselves on the same par as people in the world. So we have to start with ourselves, start with our children, and let us not be left behind. And then, as journalists and PSOs and actors, we must make sure that we're ethical, continue to do no harm, continue not to share, as Emmanuel had said, don't share information that is not credible. I myself, before I took the fact checking training from the third cohort, uh, until I took the training, I considered myself a professional, but I'm somebody who also used to share this without reading and without thinking about the damage. I wasn't very mindful. But after I got the training, I was very mindful. So we need to be mindful and implement our newfound ethics that go along with technology, and then know that freedom of speech comes with responsibility. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much, Ian, for your final comments. And over to Emmanuel now for your comments.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Brother. This has been a very interactive session, trust me. And I would like to say thanks to also all the amazing participants for have been very active here from the beginning up to now. Uh, just maybe to conclude is that we need to know that all of us here in this forum today are stakeholders, and we have individual role and tasks that we can actually play in order to ensure that misinformation, disinformation, fake news, hate speech, all those that tear down our community apart can actually be mitigated or combated by our individual effort that we can actually contribute in insurance. And it will start by you, by me, in our small proximity or where we are, in to ensure that we create a safer environment for everyone. So, for example, I mentioned about training of like you can start with the siblings, thanks to the person asking that same question. You can actually start by ensuring that your young ones are media literate. You have your phone, you know how you can send email, you know how you access internet, you know how you access Facebook. Introduce this young one to know how to send email, to know how to browse information on the internet. That alone contribute. By you making sure searching basic things like, for example, where is this country on the world? Where is it located? What is the distance? What is the name of this? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, but you cut
Okay.
off.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. So starting basic information is starting that basic step by introducing your younger siblings on how to use mobile phone is already beginning toward a better literate or media. I mean, someone with the skills that can be able to access their own content. They will not be only consumers of information. They will not be only consumers of misinformation or disinformation from other people. They will be already know how to browse. You can start from a very young person. You can also start introducing. We do not say that the time for our elderly people in the house is gone. No, they still have, they can still even access. They can still hold smartphone. If you have the power, as a son, as a daughter, as a elder person, as whatever, to your aunt, to your who, try. If you have that resources, provide that device. Give basic introduction. That actually contribute. And then also like into maybe a bigger level, it can be different institutions. I believe that there are some people representing the institutions here with different media outlets that are in this forum here today. you can actually start by conversing or seeing some of the policies that are already existing within your institution. What good practice is already in place? What is not there that you can actually borrow from other media houses in order to improve how you share out your information, how to mitigate disinformation or misinformation online. Most persons fact checkers have a bigger role. In fact, I mentioned before, all of us as stakeholders, all the people in this forum are bigger stakeholders to ensure that we have safer online community and both offline community uh, uh, to, 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 to wherever communities that we come from. I will not. I would like to share more, but I believe I've also provided or add on to what my colleague Ian have shared. And I would like to give you people thanks so much for being attentive from the beginning of this session after now. And I would like to thank Bida for alerting me about this amazing topic of conversation. Thank you so much, and thank you for the work that you're doing. For 211 check for South Sudan and to the whole world. So this little effort counts, and let's keep on pushing. Let's keep on doing the small work that we're doing, and we should not give up. I understand with what this small effort that we're doing, it sounds like a drop of water in an ocean, but that should not mean that the little drop in an ocean cannot count. It keeps on counting. So let's keep on pushing on with whatever obstacles coming our way. Let's keep resilience. Let's keep strong, and we should surely have a better South Sudan. Thank you, and I'll end here.